Hi, my name is Zach. I live in Glendale, California. I'm 23 years old, and this is Job Interview with Alex.
Hey Zach, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me today.
You're interviewing for a job as a front assistant manager of Studio Central. And basically what we do here is we rent out space for, whether it's social media, people that want to record music, people that want to make commercials. We rent out facilities as well as equipment, and we have technicians that can help people produce whatever content they want. So you would be we're looking for a candidate that's going to manage the front of the house. So people that are
Great.
calling to utilize our service. Also, when people show up to do their recordings and whatnot, you're the one that's kind of facilitating them through through everything, as well as a lot of administrative tasks like mail, keeping everything stocked. So you're kind of the heartbeat of the organization. I've got your resume in front of me here. And from what I'm seeing so far, you definitely have the background we're looking for. But can you start out by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no, when I was 11 years old, I kind of got my start in media as a professional actor because I ended up working on a Broadway national tour for Disney's Mary Poppins. And, when you're 11, being an actor is really the only way that you can get into the entertainment industry. Like, they're not hiring many, 11-year-old producers or writers or anything. So I continued to act growing up. And then once I graduated high school, I wanted to focus on more production elements and writing elements. So I went to school for cinema and television arts with a focus in screenwriting, and I got my bachelor's degree last year. While I was in college, I stopped acting to focus on the degree, but I really got involved in a lot of extracurriculars, not only, working as an associate producer and writer for a lot of social media accounts, but I ended up working as an intern on a podcast. I ended up working at Walt Disney World and working for Inbound Films. And a lot of that was me doing administrative duties and kind of like talking to guests and clients and kind of keeping track of them having what they needed to get the content ready, and me asking them if there's anything that we can provide. It was a lot of filing, a lot of answering phone calls, a lot of doing stuff on Zoom, mainly because halfway through college the COVID pandemic hit. So I've gotten
Right.
pretty comfortable working with people in the online environment. But it's been a lot of administrative assistant work, and I'm hoping to move up from that. But I like helping people out, and I feel like I'm pretty good at communicating and troubleshooting, especially
Right.
because there's that disconnect when you're online. So I think if it's in person, if I'm able to troubleshoot and help people with what they're dealing with in an online environment, then I feel like I can make that much easier when it's in an in-person scenario.
Sure. And that this position does involve a lot of putting out brush fires. You're constantly
Yes.
solving problems that arise, and your background where you've been around, kind of the administrative side of it, but all the creative types, I think would really help you in this position.
Thank you.
So I guess, as far as your background, yeah, I mean, as you touched on, you've kind of worn all different hats related to this field. It's kind of funny. I saw that you used to be a skipper on the Jungle Cruise, and I went to
Yes.
Disney last year and remember that ride. And the tour guide was hilarious. So I was curious, was that a scripted thing they gave you, or did you just make that up?
The Jungle Cruise script is sort of an interesting thing because as you go through the ride, every single show scene has about 10 different jokes that you can choose from. It's kind of like a menu. And so
Okay.
each skipper goes through the OG, as we call it, the original guide, and they choose what jokes that they want to do for each scene. However, a lot of skippers, myself included, come up with our own stuff. And what happens is that maybe a couple times around the river, we'll throw in a joke and see if it lands. And if it lands,
Okay.
it gets added to our own personal script. So I'd say
Sure.
about, at least for my boats, about 80% of what I was saying was scripted Disney jokes, and about 20% of them was stuff that I added. Obviously, you can't add stuff that's inappropriate or stuff that kind of breaks the immersion of the attraction.
Sure.
But if you can slide a couple things in every now and then, that like if it's a pop culture event or something, they're not huge fans of that, but every once in a while they'll be like, okay, that was
Sure.
funny. So every skipper has their own spiel, which is what makes that ride so highly rewritable, because you can have a different experience every time you go on.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It was entertaining for sure. So, I guess, you know, obviously you're passionate and you're a very creative person.
Thank you.
And this job is, you're definitely around all those types of people, but it's a little more administrative. I guess in 5 years, where do you see yourself in terms of a career, like ideally?
In terms of a career, I would like to be staffed on a television show, ideally late night comedy. I'm a huge fan of The Tonight Show and SNL and Late Night and Jimmy Kimmel and all those shows. I'd like to be ideally a staff writer or head writer or assistant to the head writer, because I think, head writer, you are writing and you are contributing in a creative atmosphere, but you are also kind of giving orders is the wrong word, but like administering what everybody needs to be working on, giving assignments, following up on people to make sure that they're submitting things on time. And as much as I hate to say it, I do tend to micromanage. Like in school projects, I was always the one that was like spearheading it and acting as a leader. I'm a big list keeper. I'm a big my computer is organized in folders upon folders. So I'd like to be a head writer, or just some higher up writer on some television show where I can contribute to the creative process, but I can also make sure that other writers are submitting their scripts and working on deadlines and reaching the requirements that we would need for a nightly or weekly show.
Sure. And I mean, this job will allow you probably, to meet a lot of different unique people that are in that field that you're looking for. And also within the
Yes.
company, we have, other paths as well. But I just want to make sure, you're okay kind of starting more like the ground level, doing some more
Oh,
menial,
absolutely.
non-creative tasks.
Of course, everybody has to start somewhere. And the thing is, creativity doesn't have to be limited to your job. Like I can like do a 9 to 5 job and then come back to my house or apartment and get some writing done after work. So
Okay.
even if I'm not creative in the day to day, as long as I'm progressing myself forward in the career that I want to, I can always find time for creativity. So I'm absolutely okay with that.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess just some more cliche questions here. What do you think your biggest number one strength and weakness is as far as work?
I think a weakness is that I'll start with a weakness. That way we can start bad and then get good. I think one of my weaknesses is that I tend to believe I can take on more than I can. I get very excited at the prospect of doing more. So what I might do is I might say like, "Oh, I'm on a roll with these assignments. Give me more." When let's say I can handle 2 or 3 more, I maybe shouldn't ask for 5 or 6. I should probably start off slow and then build my
Sure.
way up there. It's sometimes over eagerness, it's overconfidence. I think if I tell myself to slow down, I think that can help me actually get things done more efficiently and more accurately. And then as far as strengths, I do think I'm enthusiastic about the work that's assigned to me. I don't like to, give half effort. I like to really focus on what I'm doing and give it my all, because I can't think of a job that I've had in the last couple of years that I haven't been excited to do. So I think I'm a presence around the office that is inspiring to others to do the best that they can on their work. And at the very least, I know I'll be doing it.
And can you tell me about a time maybe where you tried something and failed, like we all fail, and maybe how you reacted after the failure?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to Disney as an example. I mean, a lot of times, when you're doing the Jungle Cruise, you're not gonna have the best audiences. Like you could tell the exact same jokes to one crowd and to another crowd, and you could get a huge laugh and an amazing crowd one boat, and then just complete dead silence the next.
Right.
And I think early on in my tenure, I would take this really personally, and I'd be like, and it would like kind of shake me off for the rest of the day. But then as I went along with the job and doing more and more boats, I realized, hey, you're gonna have some boats that aren't going to be great crowds. You're going to have some days where you do make a mistake because congratulations, Zach, you're human. But you can't let the small stuff shake you or bother you. You need to just kind of like shake it off and say, all right, that happened, and then immediately focus on the next task at hand. Or try to remedy, what was bad. And that's happened sometimes on boats where I've made a joke, it didn't land, and I immediately will try another one. And if that still doesn't land, then you cut your losses. You're gonna have a bad boat. But if you try to like tell a joke that gets them back on track, it's just a matter of not letting your failures, whether they be huge or small, prevent you from doing what you have to do. You have to shake it off and try again. And I think I've gotten better at that by having failures.
Yeah, and then as far as, can you touch upon like times when you had to have a deadline to get a certain project done and, maybe the extra mile you had to go to get it done?
Yes, actually, I was an associate producer, actor, writer, and video editor for this ongoing global project called The Musical Without a Cool Acronym. It was a TikTok parody musical based on a popular Disney Channel series, and it was during the COVID pandemic. So it was a lot of people working online from like 5 different countries, all across the states, collaborating on this show. So we had a deadline for our show. It was going to come out August 20th, 2021. And August 13th, a week before, one of the video editors on the team, I don't know if it was a Wi-Fi issue or if it was a family issue. It never got quite explained, but we could not get a hold of them. And one of their scenes was missing when we had a week to release the show.
Sure.
So I stepped up to the plate and I said, okay, we have a week. I've submitted all of my work. I'm working on other projects. I will take on this person's responsibility. So I had to kind of start from scratch on their scene and take all the green screen footage, take all the backgrounds, the music, all the elements, and basically start over and finish that scene in the course of a week. I finished at exporting it like the night of August 19th. Our producer and main editor was able to slide it into the final project, and we did release our show on time.
Right.
But I did have to step up to the plate on behalf of this video editor that I was very unhappy with at the time. And I remember once the project was done, I was like, when I meet this person in person, I'm going to really tell them how much they upset me. And I ended up meeting that person about a month later, and we've been dating for 2.5 years now.
Wow, that's a
So
story.
it's a real enemies to lovers story.
That's funny. And
Yeah.
then kind of one more thing, along with this position is a lot of organization skills are required. Would you consider yourself an organized person that can multitask?
Yes, I consider myself very organized. I live every single day by a checklist of things that I try to get done throughout the day. On top of my work, I try to exercise, I try to call my family, I try to have time for creativity. So the checklists, I've been doing that since I was 18, 19 years old.
Right.
Once again, I mentioned folders on my computer. And then when you're at Disney or when you are a freelancer and you have multiple clients coming in, you have to be able to multitask.
Sure.
There's never a moment where you're just doing one thing or focusing on one thing, like you're in an assembly line whose job is just to like crank this for 8 hours a day. You are really focused on whether you're at Disney, having to answer guest questions, having to check guests in, loading people, ensuring safety protocols. And when you're a freelancer, you're juggling, 4 to 5 different clients at a time, and they might not all be writing. Some of them might be video editing. Some of them might be voiceover work. So it's a matter of time blocking, and it's a matter of keeping lists and keeping schedules. And I think because I'm a visual learner, keeping lists and keeping schedules and having something that I can see in front of me to help me keep track of my responsibilities has been a big help for the last 6 years. And so, yeah, I consider myself to be a very organized person.
Okay. Good answer. And then as far as, right now this job, it's kind of a hybrid part-time, full-time job, 30 hours a week,
Yes.
where 2 days are in the office and then 2 days are out of the office. We're gearing more towards doing all in office, getting rid of the virtual work. Are you okay and flexible with that? Also, along with that, sometimes there is weekend work required, late night work. Are you flexible as far as your work schedule?
Yes, I am incredibly flexible as far as my work schedule goes. The nice thing about being a freelancer at the moment is that you choose your own schedule. I
Sure.
am pretty much as open as I can be right
Okay, well, thank you very much, Zach, for the interview. We may, contact you with some more follow-up, but I think we've got what we need. Did you have any questions for me?
Yes, I had a question for you. The question that I had for the company was just for this position, what is the type of candidate that you are looking for, and what are some things that, were I to get the position, I can bring to the table or bring to work on day one to be ahead or to show that I'm prepared and ready to work?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're going to be the face of the business. So we need somebody that obviously can connect with people, has a positive, enthusiastic personality.
Okay.
We're looking for somebody that we can count on to be a team player.
Okay.
We need somebody that has organizational skills to juggle a lot of different, things going on at once. and be able to pivot if, say there's a cancellation in the studio, you know, then we can pivot and maybe call somebody else up and get them in there because it's more revenue for the company, keeping everything full. So we need somebody that kind of
Okay.
can think on their feet, be interpersonal with clients and amongst the staff, and be well liked. Enthusiasm, and organization is what we're looking for this job. And like I said, in the future, if it goes well, there are other paths within the company to maybe go into something a little bit more like what you're looking for in terms of your creativity.
Coming to work with, an attitude to do everything that you listed, but also making clear of future career goals. That way, Studio Central can find the best fit for them or find out where they take place or where they fit in at the Studio Central culture.
Exactly. Yeah. I
All right,
mean, you can almost look at this job, it's like a foot in the door kind of job. Um, you
great.
know, and you can kind of go from there. But yeah, we will definitely be reaching out to you, and we appreciate your time today.
All right, terrific. Alex, thank you very much. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I was really impressed. I thought you handled the answers very well. I can tell like some of your acting and your improv from, like your resume says, like comedy sports, like really helped you here.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
whereas, a lot of people, they kind of might clam up or not be fluid in their response, but you had
Like get
very well
like get
thought
like really
out.
get really stiff and try to be thinking of their responses.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I thought you did a really good job there. The standard question, tell me about yourself. I thought you answered it pretty well. You want to kind of talk about your past, what you did, like growing up, your present, what you did about the freelance, and your future, like where you want to be. And we touched on that in another question, but you might want to touch a little bit more about on that in that first question, like where you see yourself in the future.
Okay. Is it
Um,
also just like, would it be better? Like, I feel like in that answer, I mainly talked about, like, when I asked about myself, I talked about my work experience in my past and present. I'm assuming that's good, but is it good to include like other details about me, or should it mainly just stick to the work experience?
Mostly work experience. Like if you had a wife and kids, I would say that, uh, there, talk about your family, maybe talk about your upbringing a little bit, like where you grew up, and then kind of you kind of want to tell a little short story about how, what you're interested in, how you've gotten to this point. That's the
Okay.
way I kind of look at it. But you don't want to go talk for like 5 minutes, maybe a minute and a half total, which I thought you
Okay.
did. You kept it pretty good around there. So the question at the end about if you have any questions for me, that was a very good question you asked. You don't want to just say no and have the interview end. You kind of want to say, kind of like what you said, like, is there anything else you need from me to earn this job or need to know about me? Like, I thought that was really good. It's a good way to
I
end the
once we
interview.
got to the end, I had remembered somebody saying you should always have a question for them at the end of the interview.
For
And
sure.
when you asked that, I was like, oh my God, I don't have a question. So I just kind of, I was like making it up as I went along. I was like, I hope this question is good. Like I felt like it was generic enough to work. Do you think it's better to ask a generic question similar to what I asked, or do you think it would be better to ask a question that is more job specific?
I do think, honestly, if you have the real interview, if you do some research on the company on your own and you ask something a little more job specific, I think that's probably going to resonate more. Because
Okay.
it shows you came prepared and you're interested in the company, so they should be
All
interested
right.
in you.
Sounds good.
Another just little tip, and you kind of did it at the end, but you should sprinkle in the interviewer's name a little bit out. Like my name's Alex. Like when you answer a
Mhm.
question, it's just gonna like build that personal connection. People like to hear their own name. Don't go like overkill and say Alex every 3 sentences, but just sprinkle it in a bit. Maybe just one more thing at the end. I mean, I kind of told you like we'll reach out to you, but maybe just ask like when do you know like when I'm really interested in the job, like when might I hear from you? I think,
Okay. Great.
I mean, I know you said your over eagerness might be one of your weaknesses, but I think it's good to show that. The other question I
Okay.
like how you answered was when I asked about, flexibility, working at night, weekends, doing what it takes. Like as a boss, like I'm looking for people like that aren't just doing the bare minimum. So
Yes.
I thought you did a good job with that as well, Zach. So yeah, man, I think I appreciate your time. And, if there's anybody in the Glendale area looking for Zach for any type of similar position, you can reach out.
Honestly, anything in Los Angeles
Los
is fine.
Angeles.
Like it doesn't
Okay.
have, you know,
Yeah,
like I'm fine working in Pasadena, Burbank, LA, Hollywood, just anything in
sure.
LA County at this point.
I appreciate it. It was great meeting you, and we'll
Yeah, for
uh
sure.
we'll be in touch. Okay.
All right, awesome, Alex. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your
All
day.
right. Thanks, Zach. Bye bye. Hi guys. Thank you for watching Job Interview with Alex. I've owned 4 different blue collar and white collar businesses over the past 20 years and conducted thousands of job interviews for all different types of positions. The purpose of this channel is to show you what a real world job interview looks like and aid you in winning your future job. If you're interested in becoming a participant on the show, I'm going to leave the instructions in the description down below. Once again, guys, thank you very much. And please remember to subscribe to be notified about all future job interviews that are posted. Our goal is to release 2 or 3 per week for your educational and viewing pleasure. Thank you.